It should start up here shortly. There we go.
There it goes. Oh, I have some holiday music for you to pick from, too.
Ooh. Up the drive?
I can't hear you. It's on the drive. Not in the right spot, though. You won't be
Where's
able
it
to
at?
find it. Under Koa.
Uh-oh. It had a little twinkle twinkle at the end. I guess I have to find the next one now. See what this is all about. I guess that helps to actually turn the audio on. Ooh, that's a little slow. I might have to go back to this one. Hey, that was really good timing. It like
It
literally
was.
stopped right on time. I'm impressed. I
You're
was
so
like,
good.
how am I gonna fade us and pause the music at the same time
Oh,
with the
you just
one-handed
just
mouse?
take credit for all of it. It was all you. You're
Just
you're amazing.
all me. And I gotta kind of
Here.
adjust your audio a little bit as we go.
Oh,
Hopefully mine's okay. Only because I tried resetting the show. Hopefully
okay.
we'll get rid of that. We were having that black
I
flicker
don't
that
know.
was
It's still doing it.
no, the black
That's
flicker
weird.
where the whole screen would turn
Oh,
black
yeah,
for a
yeah,
quick
yeah.
second.
Yes. Yep, I got you.
Yeah, I'm still wiggly jiggly. I don't know why it's
Yeah.
Robotron-ing
I don't
me.
know.
Um,
I,
it is
that's
what it is.
good old tech stuff. I love it.
Good
So
old
much
tech
fun.
stuff. You gotta love it, gotta love it.
All right.
Today it's Tuesday. It is officially December. You
This
wouldn't
is.
tell by looking outside.
I know, right? It's gorgeous.
You gotta love Sonoma County weather. Northern California. It is cold outside. I will say that. However, it is really warm in here.
It's warm in
Simply
here
because I
too.
have I've got all the windows, so the sun just comes in
Oh
and
yeah, it
it's
just
it's
cooks you.
you don't see it, but over here I've got a black curtain over the mini blinds because when the sun
Oh
comes
wow.
down, there's like little holes in the mini blinds where all the
Oh
rope
right.
goes
I
through,
guess yeah.
and then I get all
Right.
these little dots all over. Um, but it's interesting. I get a reflection off the wall, so you can kind of see
Yeah, I can see that.
the
You're
yeah.
so
So
funny.
that's
You're all concerned about all your lighting and everything. Like nobody else will even notice, and you're like, "Oh my god, my
everybody
lighting's so
notices.
perfect."
We're not going to talk about lighting though. We're going to talk
No.
about conference. A lot of people are taking what used to be live and in person, and they're going live virtually
Yes.
online. And so we want to talk about kind of what we learned from the 4-day conference that we did
Yeah.
with locally and some other stuff. But we're going to do it right after this. All
Ooh.
righty. Ooh, we're
We're here.
back. We're
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Uh,
had a good time doing that. That was a 4-day conference, sort of a summit,
mhm.
educational with multiple speakers and everything. That was really, really fun.
It was a lot
A
of
lot of
fun. It was
work.
a lot of
A
work.
lot of work. It was a lot of
A
work.
lot of work. Especially, considering it's the first time for everybody doing it. So,
Yes.
first time for us is from a technical streaming, first time for SMI, who was the one that actually put on the event. And, they've got multiple people that we worked with. It was the first time for PMG, who I'm on the board with, and we partnered with SMI to put this event on. And then it was first time for all the contestants, all the
Contestants. Did
viewers. Yes, they were
I
actually
win?
contestants. If you can make it through a 4-hour summit and come back for
Right.
more, you have won. And a lot of people did.
Hey,
Looking at the analytics, a lot of people did come back.
we did. We were winning with that one. I
Yeah,
think it was. I think all things considered, is a huge success. Like you said, it was new for a lot of us, and a lot of different things to work through, and a lot of the pre planning that
right.
took a lot of time. But I mean, in the end, even with some of those little hiccups and
Yep.
little kind of glitches, and of course, as we always say, technical stuff that's really kind of out of our control sometimes. Even with all of that, I think it was super successful. And like you said, I mean, you can speak to the analytics of the people that were there for multiple hours or multiple days
Multiple
over the
days.
course
Yeah,
of
because it was a
four
it was a
days.
4-day summit and it was 4 hours each day. It went from 8
Yeah.
a.m. to noon Pacific time. And what was interesting that I think also worked with that one is that they didn't just do 4 days back to back to back. One of the
Yes.
concerns while we were putting this together was Zoom fatigue, every
Mm-hmm.
other type of fatigue that's going on in 2020 right now. And then how much information are people able to digest? So
Right.
initially it was going to be a 1 day. I forget if it was going to be a 1 or a 2 day event at a local hotel that we started
Okay.
planning last year in
Right.
2019. And of course, everything got changed. Um, and so that's where we decided, all right, we're going to limit it to 4 hours. So one of the things was addressing Zoom fatigue. Plus, during the week, how much time are people going to take off? There's not going to be the same type of networking options that I think would draw
Exactly.
people to a in-person organization. So we limited it to four
Mhm.
hours, and then we broke it up Tuesday, Thursday, so that people could have a break in between.
Yeah.
And looking at the numbers, I think it worked because the numbers were definitely pretty steady. The first day was the highest day, the last day was the lowest day.
Right.
And then I think just all the pre-planning that went into it was
Well,
very helpful.
yeah, I mean, you talked about, the Zoom fatigue, which, this was kind of a, it was a wasn't necessarily a Zoom call like we always get on for our work and things like that. It was a little bit different, so it had a different feel to it. But like you said, being having that screen time for so many hours, and one of the things that was the question as we were planning was we were putting a 15-minute break in between
Right.
each one of the speakers. And, as we were planning, we're thinking, well, is that too much time? Are
Yeah.
people going to go away? Are they just going to say, "I'll forget it, I'm done"? Of course, you need those breaks, those bio breaks, and you need to get the food and do the things you need to do, maybe check your email during the course of a workday. But I think the 15-minute break in between was really successful. It gave people a
Hmm.
break. It gave us a chance to make sure we had everything set for the next speaker.
Right.
And one of our team members, Nate, did a phenomenal job with some slides in between
Yeah.
that were packed with information. So, and they were just kind of on a loop. So if you took a break and got your coffee and, didn't take care of what you needed to take care of, came back, you were still getting the benefit of those slides. And we had a lot of comments on those slides saying that
Yeah.
people really enjoyed them. They
Hmm.
were entertaining, they had great
Yep.
information, and so it was a good way to have a nice break and still be
Yeah.
getting more education and communication. So
Yeah, and I think also with everybody being virtual, it's having that extra 15 minutes. Oh, I can check my email, I can check in with the
yes,
kids because the kids were in school at the time, and so if you needed to
yes,
check in with their Zoom stuff, you could do that. So very, very helpful. And for those of you that are thinking about doing a extended live stream with multiple people, I think the breaks from a technical point of view were very helpful
yes.
also in the sense
they
that, well, one,
they
we
became
were able to take,
necessary. I mean, really.
yeah, we were able to take bio breaks, and we
Right.
had, because we were not using Zoom, we were using different technology. We wanted an HD, we wanted a high quality presentation, just like this live stream. We're not doing it on Zoom, even though we could for free, simply because it creates a lot of limitations with branding. It creates limitations with the quality of the video and the audio that you're watching and listening to. So that required extra computing effort and networking ability on other people. So, and we did run into a problem where somebody wasn't able to connect, and I think we went maybe
Yeah.
5 minutes over
I
before
think it
they
was
were
just,
able to
yeah.
jump onto another computer because it was their computer that was the problem, and they were able to connect and everything worked out.
All things considered, though, I mean, it stayed on track, and
Yeah.
everybody, and that was kind of the goal that was communicated to everybody who participated. That was the moderators who were part of the program and introducing and asking questions, and the presenters, and communicating that look, this is going to stay on time because we don't want it to be. Oh, it's just a Zoom call, and everybody just goes on and on and on, and it's just
Right.
whatever. And so we really, everyone did a phenomenal job of just staying right on time. Like you said, other than a few technical issues that
Right.
sometimes it's just out of our control. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
And I think
So
one of the things that I would like to do is on a future event is put a countdown clock or a timer that the public doesn't see, but that the actual end user does. And just so everybody knows,
yes,
this was completely virtual.
yes.
So it was all operated here out of the broadcasting studio in Roner Park, if you will. And then wherever the moderator was, may it be at their house or their office, they called in through a link. It may, all the presenters, we had over,
Yep.
I think it's 20 people collectively, 23 or something like that. I think
Wow.
collectively all had to call in at different times using vMix. So they got a vMix call, and so it was all done virtually. and
And it was all live.
it
There
was
was
all
nothing
live.
recorded.
Yeah.
It was real. It was real time. It was all
Yep.
live.
Yep. The only
So
things that
those are
were
always
recorded
exciting.
were the pre-show stuff, and then of course the
Sure.
15-minute breaks. But yeah, it was all live.
Exactly.
And so I think that was part of the engagement. We had a mastermind yesterday with some nonprofits, and it seems like those that are doing pre-recorded content and then pushing it out as
Pushing it out.
live are not having the same success as an actual live event because people want to know that it's live. If I wanted something pre-recorded, I could watch TV.
Right.
So
This is
so
true.
let's jump into some of the takeaways. So I think one of the key things is time, depending on the size of the event,
Hmm.
how many crew you have behind it is going to one delegate, find out who's available, who's going to do the graphics, who's going to figure out speakers, um,
I
and
mean, there was a whole team of people that were, I mean, literally a team of people that were working on this in some
yeah,
capacity
probably
in
had
different areas.
eight or nine
Yeah.
people I would imagine that were on the team that were
Which
collectively
actually was,
working on.
and that was nice because the burden wasn't on one person to do everything and get everything done. And
Right.
everybody had their specific roles and they were taking care of things. And we met weekly to make sure everybody was on track and
So
were there any
good
questions. And
communication really helped.
yes,
Yeah.
communication was incredible. So that was a great team to work with. So if you're going to do something like this, make sure you have some people that you can get on your team and, like you said, figure out and delegate all that pre-planning. As we've said many, many times, for all of the events that we do, the majority of your time really is in that pre-planning.
Right.
Plan, test,
Right.
making sure that, and you can talk to that. I mean, you had to do a personal live test with every single presenter prior to the actual event.
Right. And we did that. I think I got to look it up one of these days. I think it was Fred Astaire or it was somebody back in the golden age of movies
Right.
who, for like every minute that they performed on camera, they practiced like 5 hours. It was like a
Yeah.
huge number. It wasn't like, oh, okay, yeah, for every minute I'm gonna practice 5 minutes. It was like
Right.
5 hours
Five
for every
hours.
minute,
Yeah.
and that's what made it look effortless. And so it's
Right.
really that pre-planning that you were talking about that's really important.
Exactly.
And I think one of the key things that was very important because of the technology and because this is all new, if you're using something that's not Zoom, I think pretty much everybody's acclimated to Zoom now. They know how to log in, they can kind of bounce around. We were using a different technology, vMix specifically. And so having one doing a test, make sure their hardware, their internet. I can't tell you how many people it was like, are you on Wi-Fi? Even though we send out the instructions, don't be on Wi-Fi because
Yep.
video is very intensive and Wi-Fi tends to do this. What's
Yes.
interesting about that though is that a number of people, I should say, were on newer MacBooks or other types of PCs that didn't actually have a hardwire plug for their
That's right.
internet. So they had to buy
Yes.
a dongle like you
Yeah.
did a few months
I
ago.
did too. Yeah.
Dongles are not available. They are
Yep.
sold out. It was like, oh, okay, it's like it's nice to know people are actually listening though, or they're having the bad experience of trying to connect on
Right.
Wi-Fi, only to have it fail. So that was one of the big things is we did a lot of pre-planning and I did individual rehearsals with each of those people to actually show them, oh, okay, what to expect. Like
Yes.
when we start the show, we have the pre-roll, with the countdown timer. You and I know once it hits 0, we're going to be live. And then we
Yes.
also know that after we kind of introduce the show, we're going to do our little branded intro, and then it's going to come back. We're going to be live again. If you've never done this, you don't know
Yeah.
what that
You don't
is.
know what to do.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Exactly.
I walked them through. I said, "Hey, when you first log in, expect to see this. At this time, this is what's going to happen. Then this is going to happen. When you see your face on the screen, you're live."
Right.
Because it's not like you're not in a studio where you can like go, "Hey," and let them
Right. Yeah.
know
Give them the
three,
cue. Give them the
two, or
cue.
hold it,
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, woo.
You don't say
Um,
one.
Well, yeah. So anyway, so I think pre-rehearsal was really important. And then the other thing, kind of getting back to kind of the teams and the delegations, is getting those graphics nailed down as soon as
Yes.
possible, because not only from a marketing point of view do you need to start marketing, having
Right.
that collateral available for, Facebook post, for, however you're going to market it. um,
Right.
but you have to start building out the show itself, and
Yes.
that's the foundation, so these collaterals, this little, there, here it is, the live button there.
Right.
Sue, you got the little V live cast logo. All
Right.
of those little assets had to be built. Yeah, it's always backwards. Like,
It's always right
it's over
there.
here on my
There.
screen, so it must be
It's
over
right
there.
there.
Yep. So building all of this out, it's a foundation. You cannot do anything. Now, if you're on Zoom, things are a little bit different, because you're handcuffed into what you're able to do. But for this, having those assets early on, really, really important.
I want to go back one more time to talking you talking with the presenters and getting them used to everything. You also used a really cool, I don't know what you call it, feature or whatever, where they were doing presentations, like a PowerPoint
Oh yeah.
presentation. And
Hmm.
so we were able to have, the speaker on one side, the presentation on the other. And they were able to, from their remote location, click on their phone to hit the
Right.
next slide, which
Yeah.
I think is pretty cool. Instead of having to tell you as the controller back at, the studio, okay, next slide. I mean, there were a couple times where, there's glitches and we did
Technology.
have to do that.
Right.
But for the most part, that worked beautifully. And I think
Hmm.
that was, I think a lot of the presenters were grateful for that, because
Yes.
they could control that slide, and you had to, walk them through that, push the
Right.
button, see what happens. And so that was really cool too.
Yeah, and it when you take the any extra pressure, if you will, or things that the presenter has to do, then they can just focus on what it is that they want to do. So, and why I talk about that is because obviously, if you're in Zoom, the presenter would then have to do share screen. They would have to find the appropriate, because multiple screens
Right.
pop
They're
up.
leaning in,
Yeah,
going,
they
wait,
got to
where is
find it.
it?
And
Yeah.
what's nice is they were able to just say, okay, let's go into the presentation. On the back end, I'm able to hit a button, the screen changes, and now we've got
Hmm.
the PowerPoints already. And then,
Right.
because they had practiced, they knew how to go ahead and advance the slide when they wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now you talked about, the platform that we use, which is vMix, to, get to where we are to do that live stream and get that out.
Hmm.
But we were also using, instead of integrating Zoom, we were using something called Crowdcast, which I know
Correct.
is new for you. I've never used it other than this event that we did, and you were really responsible for that back end.
Yeah.
So you may want to talk a little bit more about using
Yeah.
Crowdcast.
I was trying to actually find, and I got to find my mouse here. I was trying to actually find some good examples before we went live today. I wasn't able to, unfortunately. And so what I was able to find is, unfortunately, just their website, which they don't, I don't think, like, they did a good job kind of showcasing what everything is and how it's available. And since it wasn't our event, I don't want to log into the back end and sharecase the event, especially because it was
Sure.
behind a paywall. So,
Right.
first of all, with Crowdcast as an example, this is behind a paywall. Um, so you could do them for free if you want to, or you can do it behind a paywall. But what was really nice is we were able to, RMTP, which is essentially the protocol of how do you send the video out of vMix to the Crowdcast. It's the same thing. If you're going to live stream to YouTube and Facebook, we're using that same protocol. So that I really enjoyed, because I understand that. But the other thing that was really nice, and they've got a community, so they, if you're in there, you can actually public facing, theirs. But you just send a link out to your people, and then if you wanted to live stream, I could log in, and then I would have to actually log in and sign up. And then if there's a fee, whatever, you can pay on the fee. But the reason why we picked this is because of the fact that we wanted an HD quality. So we wanted something that was branded. We wanted something that reflected the brand of SMI and PMG, and then obviously us because we're the ones behind it. So we wanted a good quality event. And in prior testing, we had used Zoom. One of the cool things with vMix is you can actually integrate vMix and send a signal to Zoom. That's all. I could send this, what you're seeing
Right.
now, out to vMix. The problem is vMix doesn't allow for 720, which is HD essentially. It doesn't allow for HD signal.
Right.
And the only way you can get a clean PowerPoint or screen share on Zoom,
Zoom.
excuse me,
You keep saying VMix, but it's Zoom.
yeah, on Zoom, thank you, is through the shared screen. When
Right.
you click share screen on Zoom, it toggles internally and it actually does an HD. And we did an event earlier where I learned that, oh, even though we're streaming a good signal to Zoom and it was the picture in picture, it had the PowerPoint
Right.
presentation, everybody's going, the PowerPoint presentation looks like crap. I can't read it.
Oh, right.
It's all distorted and it's just low res, out of our control because Zoom is controlling the quality that the end user seeing, unfortunately. So
Right.
that was the key thing that we went to Crowdcast for. And the other thing was we wanted to be able to have chat like Zoom so that
Yeah.
there's some sort of being able to talk. You're not going to have breakout rooms like Zoom can where people can talk on video. So
Right.
you're just watching and that's it essentially on Crowdcast as a user, and then you're able to chat. But they also had polling functions, and then the excuse me, the other really nice thing. I gotta take a drink of water. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're okay. Yeah, I think the interaction, there was a lot of people that were commenting throughout the presentations. They were, commenting on the content. They were
Right,
asking questions so that at the end, the moderator could do a Q&A, which
right.
I think worked really well. And it seemed like everybody was having a good time interacting on the chat. So that was
Now
cool.
I'm gonna throw you a curveball, and that is it's cut off a little bit, but it's called Hopin, Hopin. I can't highlight it. This is really cool because it's a little bit more pricey. Oh, and the other reason why we liked Crowdcast was because do they not have pricing up here somewhere? Was the pricing and the fact that you do not have to buy a full year. So a lot
Mm,
of places, you got to sign up monthly. You could just buy a single month. And
right,
for ours, we ended up doing the 195 because we had a 4 hour session and we
right.
wanted to have some pre-roll, and the 89 is maxed out at four
Just
hours.
four,
And
right.
we knew we were
That
going to
makes sense.
go, we needed more like 4.5 hours just to be on the safe side. So, but it was a single cost. So super nice. But let me find this
Hopping. Where'd
other
Hopping
one that
go?
I'm looking into right now, which is called Hopin. And
Okay.
what I like about Hopin at this point, I'm still trying to figure it out, is this is more like a virtual conference that you would go to. So you have vendors,
Mm,
you can actually you can step into the main hall if you will, and you can have the presenter be there. If you
nice.
have vendors, you can have vendor booths set up so people can actually go and do vendor, and it's with video. So I could actually, if I wanted to on my phone or on my computer, I could actually log in and communicate with a vendor through video chat. So
Cool.
yeah, and then they have
That's cool.
breakout rooms where you could have like private one-on-one type of stuff. So anyhow, I'm checking into this. Hopin has a free version that I signed up for. That's also $99. So I don't.
I feel it. I feel a test. I feel a test event coming on.
Well, we're going to be doing it because my thought is even doing like when we live stream, why not push it out to Hopin also? And because they have a community also. So when you log into
Cool.
or you go into Hopin itself, it'll show you everybody who's currently presenting, and then
Cool.
you can sign up if you want to. But so the thing that's interesting, and I haven't been able to find out, is they say they give you 72 hours. I'm not sure exactly where it's at.
For your
Um,
free, your freebie.
yeah, but it says something in here somewhere. It states that it gives you 72 hours. I don't know if that's like total time. I don't know if that's like 72 hours a month. I'm not
Oh, I don't
totally
know.
sure, but I'm like, all right, so if I spend $99 a month and I can do a 6 hour session or a 4 hour session, as an example, as a
Right.
conference, but users can go into the main hall, watch the presenters. Plus, it'll list all the presenters and their bios and all of that. So it's kind of built out more like a
Nice.
conference. So I'm
Right.
personally excited about that. I want to look into that.
I know.
Uh,
I love that you're the one finding all these great things. And
yeah.
I mean, honestly, when we talked about when you said before having the experience with the poor quality on the presentations using Zoom, I mean, you were the one who was like, I'm going to find a solution, and you're so good at that. You go and you look and you're like, oh, I found this and I found this and I found that, and we're going to test this, and you always find a solution. And I'm so grateful for you, Ryan, because you like to do that stuff, and
But
I'm gonna
and
let you do
you
that
like
stuff.
talking to people and dealing with
I
all the back
do.
end stuff. So
I
yeah,
do,
it's a good
exactly.
collaboration. It's a good collaboration. So yeah, so anyway, we'll be talking about that later, by the way, because I
Okay,
just
good.
tested it out today. I found out
Fun.
about it like a couple weeks ago, and I have some time in order to do it. I
Cool.
feel like we've gotten away. Oh, so we were talking about, so the other thing to consider if you're going to do a conference is, do you want to do a Zoom event and just realize it comes with limitations, or do you want something where you're able to better brand, where the end
Hmm.
user experience is in HD and is just, to me, it's a classier act. If you're a corporation
Yeah.
organization, if you have a brand identity, then I would recommend not going on Zoom.
Well,
And
it just feels. I mean, even as a participant, because I watched, I was watching part of it too, and it just feels different. It's
mhm,
not like being on a Zoom call, which
right,
we're on for so many hours a day, anyways. Just from every meeting that we have to have is on Zoom, and it's just like, oh, not another Zoom call.
right,
But this really did feel different. I mean, we'll do Zoom calls all day, and then go sit in front of the television and watch some more screen
right.
without a problem. So, and this kind of has more of that feel where it's, a live show that you're watching, but it's more of a show,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
which is
definitely.
the beauty of it. So,
Definitely.
yep,
So we talked about testing with speakers, what to expect, rehearsal, and then I think the last thing, anytime you're going to do anything live, is make sure you have a backup plan.
yep.
And that may be simply a image that pops up that says "Beep, technical issues." Um, I
Right.
had a I had a client, I was talking to you earlier, that I had a client who does a weekly live show, and for some reason the internet burped, and both him and his guest got kicked off the show. And it's
Oh
the
man,
first time that it's ever happened to me. And I'm like, what's going
what do
on
I
here?
do?
Yeah, because I saw that they were still connected, but I'm actually able to see how much bandwidth is coming through, and there was nothing there. It was like all red. It
Oh,
was like warning, warning. But you're not going to die because you're still connected. So
right.
anyway, they had the reconnect and all those type of things, and so there were things like, oh, okay, so I had to actually put on the little. We don't have a hey, we'll be right back, technical difficulties.
Right.
So we had to put up. I just put up their little intro banner so that
Right.
it wasn't just a frozen image of them. Because
That's kind of you.
when you get
Yeah.
disconnected, you don't
Yeah.
disappear. You just go,
You're just,
however, yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, having something like that, I think, is really important. And then also having a contingency plan. So one of the other things that we did during the event was talking, especially to the MC, because they were on for the full day, is hey, if there's technical, you're gonna have to like wing it. You're gonna have to fill in the gap. And we only fortunately had one incident where somebody wasn't able to connect because they had computer issues, and they ended up
Right.
running downstairs and logging in on a different computer, and then it finally all worked. And I think we are like 5 minutes late for the session,
Yeah.
but it was kind of like, hey, MC, you got to fill
Yep.
this gap here. just as
Have
an
some good
FYI.
notes and things like that.
Good note.
The other thing,
Yep.
oh, I was going to say, having, talking about different team members and things. And, one other thing to keep in mind too is I was there as the kind of the liaison for, the people who were some of the behind the scenes people who were doing a lot of the chat
Hmm.
and getting the questions and giving us feedback from the outside, if you will.
Right.
And so there were a couple times that we got a couple calls where it was like, hey, we can hear this, or, this
Right.
is
I had
going
a
on.
live
And
mic at times, and
you had a hot mic at one point,
when
and it
you're
was
the
like,
show
whoops,
producer and you're not a part of the forward facing, the audience facing, your
right.
microphone should not be on.
And then I was also, conversing with several of the presenters as well, if they were having any trouble getting connected. So, having all those people in place and ready, like you said, when something's maybe not going exactly right, or there's
Right.
something that's happening. So you
Yeah.
need to be able to have that communication for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because that was the same thing I was like, and then you had the same idea. And then mine was more specifically having an actual back channel. So fortunately through vMix, I was able to do an audio back channel with anybody who was logged in, where we were able to communicate without the public being able to hear it. So
Right.
I was able to let the MC know, hey, we got 2 minutes before we go live, and the guests know, hey, we got 2 minutes before we go live, 1 minute before we go live. Oh, but you want to move your camera down just a little bit so it's squared up.
Right.
And then, okay, MC, are you ready? We're going to go live. And it's like, okay,
Pushing the
I'm ready.
button.
And then you push a button, they're live. But, so it wasn't like a surprise where they're just looking into the
Like,
screen,
oh, are
waiting
we
for their
here?
face
Yeah.
to show up and then go, hey, everybody. So yeah, communication, very, very important during the day of. We
Yes.
haven't used it, and I just lost the name of it. Um, I
Oh,
know a lot of people in the industry are using Discord. So
okay.
Discord is an app, and you can kind of create your own little community, and they'll use it for text and talk. I think it even has push the
Mm-hmm.
talk, so you can have kind of like a walkie-talkie. And
I've
so I
also
know,
heard people use WhatsApp
yeah,
a lot too.
WhatsApp would be
That's
another
another one.
one.
Yep.
Yeah, where you can kind of create just a little group that you're only
Exactly.
speaking to these people, and then it makes it really easy to communicate. So,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
anyhow,
Communication is key.
yep, communication is key. So I think, key takeaway was definitely uh, testing ahead of time. So anything that we did, we tested again, and of course there were times when I tested it, and then the next day it didn't work.
It didn't
Like,
work.
okay. Um, and so, but all of that, I mean, really, just like anything in life, all of that pre-prep that you do, it's
Yes.
like is
It's
huge.
worth it.
Yeah, definitely worth it. And then find, if you're interested in HD, find a platform. There's plenty of them out there. I found we tried a couple other ones. I don't remember what they were. But Crowdcast and the pricing's all over the place, right?
Right. Of
There is
course.
no standardized pricing, how many minutes you get or any of that.
Right.
And Crowdcast, for what our specific need was for 4 hours over 4 days,
Worked out
they
great.
had the best solutions and the best pricing and super simple to use. So that's the other thing I would say with Crowdcast is that it was really easy to use. I just had to grab a stream key from their end, plug it into vMix. Then as soon as I was ready to stream, I just hit stream on vMix, and as long as the
Off
internet
we
stays
go.
on, we're good.
Oh
So,
yeah, the internet.
oh yeah,
That.
the
Oh that.
internet, that thing. Yeah.
That we need that.
So,
Yeah, no, but I think it was all around a great success. So
yeah,
honestly, congratulations to you. You did a great
yeah,
job, especially it was a little nail biter a
yeah,
few
here
times,
and
but
there.
but it was
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so thank you. And then obviously thank you to you also, because you're a big part
Of
of
course.
everything, getting that together and to run as smoothly as it did. So if you plan on running an event, try some of these programs out. I think a lot of them do offer free, at least 7-day trial
Right.
with limited hours. So give it a try, test it out, find out how to do it, test,
Yes.
and have some fun. And then if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. We're more than happy to help out.
Yes, of course. Yeah, and feel free to reach out to us if you want to do a quick little 15-minute meeting, and maybe if you need some more information, we're happy to help you with that. Also, before we go, one last thing. I know we're over our time. One last thing I want you to put on your calendar. Thursday, January 7th. That is going to be our next mastermind for nonprofits who are looking
Oh yeah.
to do some virtual fundraising and just need a little bit of support. We did one of those earlier this week. It is free. It's kind of a in some ways a support group for a lot of the nonprofits who are like, wow, am I the only person who's dealing with this? Oh man, I'm
Right.
so glad to hear there are other people that are having these issues or they have questions, and then sharing a little bit of brainstorming for some of those virtual events and what's working for them to raise funds. So put
Okay.
that on your
Can
calendar if you,
you
yeah,
can share a link down below where they can sign
yeah,
up? Okay,
yeah, I can do
perfect.
that.
Yeah. If you can do it in
Yes.
Facebook and YouTube, that would be awesome.
Cool,
All right,
cool.
perfect. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. We will be around next week. We are going to be talking.
About
Oh,
games, virtual
games. That's right.
games
Virtual
for
games. Yeah.
holidays.
All kinds of
For
fun games
yes,
that you can play with people. And then the following
online
week is, I believe that's the week we're
Christmas.
taking off because of Christmas. We might be in between. I got to figure out my travel plans. So
We
I
might.
know we're going to take at least a week off, but we might be 2 weeks off,
Yep,
potentially. And then
possible.
we'll
We'll let you
definitely
know
be
next
back.
week.
We'll let you know. All righty,
Hey,
Sue. As always, a
okay.
pleasure working with you.
Yes, me
Appreciate
too.
it. All right.
Of
All right,
course.
everybody. Until next week, take care.